Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Carrie Gans, and I am a dentist here in Garden City, New York. And my dog caught me on my lip, just to get a little sympathy. It's healing, but he was playing with my dog, and he just, his paws grabbed me and cut me. But I'll be fine. Don't want anybody to worry. What I want to talk to you about today is the whole concept of silver fillings, amalgam, as it's called in dentistry. For a million years, ever since going back to the Dark Ages, most likely, the silver fillings was state of the art, and I have fillings that we put in probably 30 years ago that are still functioning, etc. But they do have disadvantages. Now, before I go any further, patient asked me this morning, should I remove all my silver fillings? And obviously, my answer was no. If they're functional and they're working okay, and there's no breakage, etc., then there's no reason to replace them. It's not there. There was a whole thing a number of years ago that the silver fillings were leaking mercury and causing all kinds of diseases. To the best of my knowledge, and you certainly can Google this and find out for yourselves, to the best of my knowledge, that just isn't true. So there's no reason to take out a well-fitting silver amalgam filling unless there's a reason. Now, one of the downsides of silver fillings, beside the cosmetics, which some people want to have them removed because they don't like to smile and see all that silver showing, other than cosmetics, the silver fillings tend to percolate. They tend to, as they expand and contract due to temperature changes, they tend to cause either microfractures in teeth. They tend to cause spaces between the silver filling and the tooth structure so that bacteria can crawl in and can cause decay. So, just a silver filling, just because it's in there, doesn't mean it's functioning well. And your dentist needs to look at them in a different way. And one of the tools we use in the office is something called the transilluminator. Now, what this is, it's a very bright light. It's a specific white light that you can shine on the tooth. When you shine it on the tooth, if there's a crack due to the silver filling expanding and contracting, even if the tooth doesn't hurt. Now, you want to get to these things before the tooth hurts. So if you shine this specific light, this transilluminator, on the tooth, when it hits a crack, the light bounces back. It doesn't go all the way through the tooth. So you see dark on one side and light on the other, which signifies that there's a crack somewhere in the tooth. The idea is to get that fixed before it breaks, because then it's something that typically we can repair. And you can repair it with crowns. You can repair sometimes with a new filling. You can repair it with something called an inlay or an onlay, which is like a filling, but it's done in the laboratory and it's a little stronger and longer lasting. There are options. If you wait for that tooth to break on its own, well, then there's always a chance you could lose the tooth. Because if it fractures in a bad way, then you can lose the tooth. If it fractures in a good way, well, then it still can be restored, but it may be more complex. So one of the things that we use in our office is a transilluminator. And we tend to see a large number of silver fillings that have been in 10, 15, 20 years, where you see these small little fractures, you see these cracks in the teeth, you see this movement of the silver away from the actual tooth structure, and we always suggest that be repaired. It is not something you want to wait until the tooth gets so severely decayed that it ends up needing a root canal. You don't want to wait till the tooth fractures and possibly lose the tooth and then need bridges or implants or whatever. It's much simpler to use these devices that we now have at our disposal, both digital x-ray as well as the transilluminator, to find these fractures in teeth before they cause a problem. Now, I don't know if anybody has faced this. If you have any questions, by the way, I'm more than happy to answer them. Just put them in, I guess, the question box or whatever. But at the end of the day, silver fillings are terrific. Now, we don't use silver anymore. There's really no reason to. We use white filling material. They're very hard. They don't tend to percolate. They're bonded to your tooth, so that the white filling materials of today are very strong and will last many, many years. And they're cosmetic. You don't see that big ugly silver. Once again, it doesn't mean you take silver fillings out if they're working. If they're functioning normally, you leave them in. If they're not functioning normally, I tend to replace them with either white fillings. If there's more than 50% of the tooth being filled, then I tend to look for something like an inlay or an onlay, or potentially an all porcelain crown, just to protect the tooth long term. We don't want to do something short term and then have to redo it in the future if we don't have to. So that's just a little story about silver fillings. I don't see any questions, so it's kind of early in the morning, so I don't know how many people tend to see this anyway. But if you live in New York, you live here on the island, you want to come on in, we can chat with you about it. If you're looking for a new dentist, we'd be happy to have you in our practice. We're here at 300 Garden City Plaza, right across from the new Neiman Marcus in Roosevelt Field. Just give us a call at 516-741-1230, and please mention this video. And if you do, we'll be happy to give you a complimentary welcome visit. We'll take X-rays, we'll do whatever, complimentary exam and X-rays, just to say thank you. And it's our way of knowing that people actually see these videos. So if you call and you mention this video, you won't pay for X-rays, you won't pay for the exam. And then we can chat about what's going on in your mouth and see if there's anything you need done or you want done. But if not here, then speak to your dentist. If you have old silver fillings, it behooves you to have them evaluated. Don't just assume because they're silver and they haven't hurt. You don't want to wait until they hurt. So anyway, Dr. Carrie Gans here in Garden City, New York, 516-741-1230. Have a great day and keep on smiling.